I had heard people say if you vote for this, you're going to get what you voted for, but that's what people say every election.
A catastrophic wave of layoffs is hitting electricians in Maine. It may be a preview of hundreds of thousands of jobs that could be lost nationwide after President Trump and Republicans just repealed billions in clean energy investments.
It was like a light switch got opened, and all of our work just disappeared overnight.
We went to Maine, where a solar boom has already come to an abrupt halt.
I got laid off at the beginning of May. I haven't gotten any calls yet.
I'm on unemployment right now, and in the state of Maine, that's $595 per week, and I pay rent, that's $13.50 a month.
This has nothing to do with our local union or the companies around us bidding jobs. It solely comes down to what's happening in our federal government right now.
We came here to talk to electricians who voted for Trump to understand how are they thinking about his agenda now that it's costing them work. We're outside Bangor, Maine, and we're headed to meet an apprentice electrician who's been working steadily for the last several years, but suddenly he finds himself unemployed, and he wants to talk to us about why.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? Sam.
Braden,
Nice
come
to
right
meet
in.
you. Thank you so much.
A good friend of mine in high school, he was 3 grades above me, and whenever I'd go over to his house, he'd have $2,000 guitars, like a $5,000 Marshall amplifier. And I'm like, where are you getting all this money, dude? And he's like, well, I'm an electrician. I'm learning to be an electrician. You should do it too.
Braden House is an apprentice electrician who last year voted for Trump.
After finding out I was having my daughter at 17, I'm like, I need money, and it ain't gonna be spent on guitars and amplifiers. It's gonna be spent on diapers and making a future for this kid. I applied to the apprenticeship and heard back in March of 22, and I started work 3 weeks after I graduated high school. I'm a 17-year-old kid. They're asking me like life experience questions. I'm like, I don't know, dude, I work at a Dunkin' Donuts. My first week I get in, I get a check for $1,300 for a 40-hour week, and I'm like, yep, this is what I'm doing now. I'm sticking with this. Obviously, you see the arrays of solar panels, and you see underneath it.
Braden took me to one of the 8 solar projects he has helped build over the last several years.
Nothing beats like just before August, like May to June in a solar field. I remember being on a solar field one day, and I get an email of my Lincoln Financial account. I'm like, holy shit, I've only been doing this for a year and a half, and I have $3 grand in my retirement account.
Why do you think the work was so steady?
Because there were so many solar projects. You can't go anywhere in the state without seeing a solar field or multiple.
It kept every electrician in our local union employed.
Scott Cuddy is a longtime electrician out of the same union local as Braden. He told me that until recently, there were so few jobs for electricians that they had to take across-the-board pay cuts to get work.
We had 0 solar projects going on for years and years and years. Guys were traveling to other jurisdictions to go work on solar projects.
That started to change in 2022.
President Biden's signing of the Inflation Reduction Act today comes after more than a year of negotiations among Democrats in Congress.
The Inflation Reduction Act was the largest federal investment in clean energy jobs in American history. It provided tax credits that encouraged business to build renewable projects like solar, wind, and battery storage. And as those projects multiplied, the landscape for skilled trades workers transformed.
The rate for a union electrician is currently about $39 an hour. In 2020, we were at about $29, $30 an hour. So we have seen an enormous increase in the wages for the people doing the work, and that's because when you have work to do, you get bargaining power.
They were so desperate for people, they'd raise the amount of money they'd pay you per hour to get you there, and it was competitive. Companies were competing on how much they would pay their guys to get the amount of guys that they needed to finish these solar fields. Solar, it fed my family, you know. Solar lined my pockets, and it gave me work for years.
Take me through your thinking. What was your thinking when you decided to vote for Trump?
When I voted for Trump, my big thing was I agreed with his stance on immigration. I agreed with his idea of no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. I liked his stance on no new wars. And now we're seeing the exact opposite happen. The immigration thing and Palestine were 2 of the biggest things that turned people off to the Biden administration and to the potential Harris administration. At least in who I've spoken to on job sites.
What was your reaction when Trump was elected?
I was not surprised.
But were you happy? I mean, you voted for Trump.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. Happy's not the right word. I was indifferent. I was more, great. The better of two evils. Let's hope nothing goes bad. And then now it's going bad.
Since January, at least $14 billion of renewable energy projects have been canceled or put on hold across the U.S., including 3 big solar and battery developments in Maine.
The February union meeting of this year, of 2025, the business manager during his report said, guys, I can chart out full employment to mid-2027 right now. At the March union meeting, he said, we're going to be looking at 50% unemployment this summer. It went from, I can see full work, get your strength back so you can get back out on the job for the next thing, till 2027, to we will be at 50% unemployment this year. The uncertainty has devastated the construction industry in Maine. I think an important point in this is the tax credits aren't even gone yet.
A week after this conversation, Republicans in Congress passed Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, drastically scaling back investments in solar and wind. The bill rapidly phases out the Inflation Reduction Act's clean energy investments, preserving funding only for projects up and running in the next 18 months. That will likely derail hundreds of billions of dollars of planned construction and eliminate hundreds of thousands of jobs. When did you realize this would affect you?
It really hit me about 2 weeks into my layoff, because at first it was like, yeah, these layoffs should only last 1 or 2 weeks, and then the 4th week came around, and that's when it really hit me that we might be in for no work for a while.
Braden is one of 66 apprentices in his union who've been laid off since April. He's now on a waiting list for the next job, with nearly 30 people ahead of him.
I've seen 3 people move off that list in the last 60 days. In summer, usually everyone's employed. Usually there's enough work that everyone's employed. Right now, seeing only 3 people move in 60 days, it's bleak.
I will terminate the Green New scam immediately. It's the greatest scam.
They love to have the guys standing behind them in the hard hats when they have a press conference, but when it comes to doing the actual policy that will actually help us, we have that policy in place right now. It's the IRA. It's helped bring more people into the trades. It's helped us get paid more, and this is across the board. The policy's in place. If you just let the policy survive, we'll be fine.
This is a great bill. This is going to be a great bill for the country.
I think he could swallow his pride. He's cutting the things that Joe Biden did that made labor so good in the name of, I don't like Joe Biden, so I don't want to stand for anything he stood for. But you shouldn't be cutting something that your predecessor did that was good because he's your predecessor. You should continue to build on the good things he did. If it's creating jobs, if it's boosting the economy, why get rid of it?
Thanks so much for watching our video. If you'd like to see more stories like this, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to get more Perfect Union in your feed. And if you have ideas for other stories we should investigate, just drop them in the comments below.